In this video, I break down how one of my Brisbane apartments generates $112,000 per year on Airbnb and the exact strategy behind it. So I purchased this 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment in February 2024 through auction, and I paid $643,000 for it. The reason why the deal made sense to me was the fact that it had a really strong yield already on a long-term basis, as it was rented out for $1,000 a week with long-term tenants, making the gross yield of approximately 8%, which was already above standards. Now, the second reason why I picked this apartment was the fact that body corporate rates were pretty low compared to standards. So yearly body corporate fees were below $5,000. Which was absolutely great. And the third reason was how modern the building was already, with all the amenities, barbecues, 2 gyms, swimming pool, spa, etc., which was an added bonus to attract more guests on the Airbnb side of things. Now, to pick this property, I did my research through AirDNA, the software that I use for all of my deals, and the estimated yearly revenue on Airbnb for this property was $75,000 per year, producing a gross yield approximately on Airbnb of 11.67%. However, I noticed that in the area there were some top performers that were generating over $100,000 per year in revenue on Airbnb, with the same kind of characteristics as this apartment that I picked. Some of them were making even $130,000 per year. So I had to study those listings and figure out a way so that I could replicate or get closer to those results myself. And I noticed 2 important factors that helped those listings generate that much revenue. The first factor was the fact that all those properties were themed. By themed, I mean that they followed a specific color pattern, or they were decorated in a way that was cohesive and consistent across the property. And my second observation was the fact that those properties had something unique about them, something that made them stand out. It might have been, a specific view, or how the balcony was presented, or a different kind of flooring. So I decided to pull the trigger on a small renovation and decided to change the floors of my apartment. So because there were thousands of cookie cutter apartments in the area that all looked the same, I just picked a floor that would stand out. I went with hybrid herringbone style throughout the apartment. So I removed all the carpets from both bedrooms, and it did really make a big visual difference. Now, the other reason why I decided to renovate the floors is because the floors were already in poor conditions. They were peeling. It was a cheap laminate floor, and the overall renovation cost me around $15,000. I'll probably break that down in a separate video, as I incurred in a lot of unforeseen costs during the renovation. So once floors were done, I decided to move on to the balcony, and I tried to make it as appealing as possible, as Instagrammable as possible, by putting fake turf on it, balcony bar with some city views. And after that, I decided to furnish the apartment in a cohesive way that would match with what was already there. For example, I picked a marble-looking table that matched with the tiles in the bathrooms. I went with the same kind of color patterns, like I wanted the artwork in the bedroom to match with the pillows that I got, and so on. Again, this decision-making process came from figuring out what the top performers were doing to achieve those bigger numbers. So 12 months later, the numbers came in, and my gross revenue was $112,000 for the year, which was well above the estimated revenue from AirDNA. I'm also gonna break down the numbers in detail for you so that you can see what my net profit was for this apartment, and also the big benefit of owning property instead of just renting it. Now, if you look at the numbers, the payout from Airbnb was $94,200 after all their fees, and then my mortgage for the year was $28,700. Now, for all my properties, I've always picked interest-only loans because the repayments are lower and they give me more cash flow every month. Now, the cleaning for the year was $15,800, body corporate was $4,890, then we have council rates $1,890, maintenance $1,800 for the year, utilities and internet $4,800 for the year, and softwares as well as keys. I've been generous in here because software costs are spread across all other listings, but I included them all for these numbers, $1,750. And then my net profit for the year before taxes was $34,485. Now again, this is a positively geared property because I use the Airbnb strategy, but the amazing benefit of owning property in this case was the capital appreciation of this apartment. And people that go all in on other strategies like arbitrage fail to realize how important capital appreciation is for your growth and for your expansion. Because as of today, this apartment is conservatively valued at $927,000, which is $284,000 more than what I paid just 2 years ago. And capital appreciation for my investment property gives me the opportunity to then refinance, take out the additional equity, a portion of it, and then reuse that as a deposit to purchase another investment property and do the same thing all over again. And of course, I always pick the short-term rental strategy because it is generally cash flow positive. It doesn't cost me anything to hold the property, and at the same time, it grows in value if you pick the right property in the right location, of course. I hope you found this video useful, and if you'd like to work with me one-on-one, please click the link below to schedule a call, and there's also free training in there. If you'd like to see more of these videos coming out, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.